Brian the Geek here, and today I'm going to talk about why the Old Republic Legacy of the Sith trailer that just dropped feels so much more authentically Star Wars than the entire sequel trilogy and a lot of what Disney has done. The first thing is the portrayal of the Jedi. The sequel trilogy's Jedi didn't really feel authentically Jedi. We basically had Rey and Luke, with Luke being kind of weird. There just wasn't the mythology and the depth and all the traditions and the mystique that we felt from the Jedi Order in the original trilogy, in the prequel trilogy, and in the legacy content like Knights of the Old Republic. But in Legacy of the Sith, you felt that mystique, you felt transported right back into what the Jedi are. The sequel trilogy's Jedi don't feel like Jedi. The Force basically becomes a cheap magic trick with no clear rules. Force ghosts can interact with normal objects and use the Force like they were alive. Force healing suddenly exists. Rey can just magically do things that took Luke years to master. Simply put, the essence of the Jedi doesn't exist. Number two is the way that the battle between the light side and the dark side exists in the material. We've got our main character, Sahar, and she's confronted with some of the sketchy stuff that her master did to choose her and not her brother, and suddenly she's got all these doubts about the Jedi, and that opens a path for the dark side, for her to make some choices that maybe don't go so well for her. Whereas in the sequel trilogy, there's really nothing like that. There's no clear explanation of why Ben Solo was drawn to the dark side or why he's feeling the pull to the light again, other than his grandfather was Darth Vader. And Rey never really has a true, tempted by the dark side moment other than, oh no, my granddaddy's Palpatine, what am I gonna do? But there's no actual real reason for her to feel pulled towards the dark side. And she never really even is tempted that much to turn to the dark side. There was no deep character motivation in the sequels the way that Luke or Anakin experienced, and that is fundamental Star Wars. Number three is no punches were pulled in this Old Republic trailer. The sequel trilogy was notorious for pulling punches in many ways, especially in the Rise of Skywalker. Chewbacca died, oh my god. Oh wait, no he didn't. It was a fake out. C-3PO lost his memory. Oh my god. Oh wait, no, R2-D2 could just restore it. Even the moments that were meant to be gut punches didn't resonate as clearly as they should have. But in Legacy of the Sith, no punches were pulled. They were able to build a very quick, realistic master-apprentice relationship that hurt her when her master was killed. They portrayed years of trust-breaking, regret, and his untimely end quickly and effectively in a way that was very reminiscent of Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon's relationship or Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship. And number four, the Sith feel like a real threat. The sequel trilogy never really felt like it fully fleshed out a true threat. The First Order really was not fleshed out, and this is partly because it was so overpowered and was just to the point of ridiculousness when you have a fleet of Star Destroyers that all have Death Star lasers. It gets beyond the point of credulity where you can feel any kind of suspension of disbelief. Whereas in Legacy of the Sith, Darth Malgus feels incredibly intimidating. You feel genuine fear that Sahar isn't gonna survive, especially after her master's been killed and she's fighting Darth Malgus one-on-one. You know from the get-go she's not winning that fight, so you've got this sense of dread, exactly like you do in The Empire Strikes Back when Luke is fighting Vader. You can see that Vader is just toying with Luke, and you know that Luke's not gonna win, as you've got this sense of dread, how is this gonna even turn out okay? In the sequels, as soon as Kylo Ren's mask was off, and him being basically the only Sith, you lost all sense of that threat. You realize he's just a kid, you just don't feel that level of threat oh man, this guy has control, he is just toying with people, and he can do whatever he wants, and this is gonna go real bad for our heroes. I mean, Rey never even lost a duel to him in the entire trilogy. She won in The Force Awakens. They fought basically together against the Praetorians in The Last Jedi, and she beat him in The Rise of Skywalker. So he just didn't feel threatening. Point number 5 is the lightsaber choreography is on point in Legacy of the Sith. In the sequel trilogy, I'll be honest, I kind of like the scrappy fighting that we get with the lightsabers, especially in The Force Awakens. Like, it worked for me. But when you compare it to just the finesse and the ferocity and the intensity and still some of that scrappiness that you get in this trailer for The Old Republic, it's like, whoa. It's on a whole different level, and I get that it's animation, but it still feels like a very grounded animation. It's not even like Clone Wars animation where it's a little less grounded. Like, this is grounded, ferocious, but very stylized, powerful fighting that just looks insanely cool and somehow really harkens back to the prequels as well as the originals. So it's just insanely cool and feels innately like what we've come to expect from lightsaber duels in Star Wars. As with the previous point, a lot of this is because Kylo just isn't a proficient fighter, and so there really isn't, the opportunity for there to be some really kick-ass Sith moments. Number 6 is a huge one. There's no fan service in the Old Republic trailer. It feels so authentically Star Wars in part because there just isn't that kind of ridiculous fan service that we're used to with the Disney era that takes us out of it. There's so much of that in the sequel trilogy where it's like, but why is this character even here? Because we want to give you that nostalgic feeling. This trailer, Legacy of the Sith, was completely removed from any characters that we knew from the movies, and so you've got these new characters. You don't have these weird callbacks like, hello, I am C-3PO and I have a red arm, or just weird stuff like that. Like, why is this even here? So that really helps it feel more authentically Star Wars. And my final point, which touches on some of the other points a little bit, is in this trailer you see these systematic failings of the Jedi having real immediate consequences. See, the sequel trilogy explored like Luke's one failing. He made one bad decision at one moment and it screwed everything up. But the prequels were entirely about the systematic failings of the Jedi, not one mistake. And so this feels very similar to that. The mistakes of generation after generation is very emblematic of Star Wars, and we just didn't get that in the same way in the sequel trilogy, whereas the entire crux of the drama in this trailer is the systematic Jedi plucking children away from their families, and specifically the Jedi kind of choosing who they wanted to be their apprentices and not necessarily taking every Force-sensitive child, kind of trying to break all attachments, all that good stuff. And, that really opened up Zahara to making the real bad decision that got her master killed and allowed Malgus to get the holocron. So it's really this crazy cause and effect. And we just didn't see that on the same level in the sequels because it was a one split-second decision towards the dark side, not something that was a systematic failing of the Jedi that led to that moment. It was like, oh, but Snoke's corrupting him, I guess I gotta kill him. Like, it just didn't feel that authentic Star Wars-ness that we've come to expect. So that's my personal 7 reasons why I think that Legacy of the Sith trailer is so much more authentically Star Wars than the sequel trilogy. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, consider subscribing for more Star Wars content, and I'll catch you very soon.